Hi guys, this is just a brief video I've made explaining some of the changes I've made to the user interface recently. Sorry it's been so long since I've produced any kind of a meaningful update here. It's been very busy the last couple of years with things like command courses and basically getting a life. So yeah, the system's just been running quietly away in the background the last couple of years. Yes, I have still been using it, obviously, but I haven't really made any major changes to this side of things. Anyway, I'm going to run you through the changes as quickly as I can without going into too much detail because you've already got the specialized videos covering each of these pages in detail. But first of all, server path is a new window here. Being green follows the convention that you can enter the data there yourself if you so wish. Basically, previously the server path for retrieving files and charting data was embedded in the VBA code. So it presented me with a problem if I wanted to migrate to a new server for whatever reason, be it cost or because the previous server had crashed or taken offline. I'd have to reissue the app. However, now I've bought my own domain and I can just send you a new server path and you can carry on seamlessly, hopefully, if we get any problems with servers in the future. So new server path is already loaded in there. Try not to delete it, but you can just re-enter it if you do. Position sizing calculator, that hasn't really changed. I've added a couple of little arrows to show you exactly what the limit is on your position sizing when you enter different funds, maybe stocks, whatever it is. It shows you exactly in plain English how the position sizing algorithm is working and which is the limiting factor. Anyway, let's move on from that because I'm sure you've all read the instructions. Okay, signals page. Same 5 constituents: FTSE 100, FTSE 250, unit trusts, more unit trusts which mirror what are available in the Aegon pension funds but not the same price, which I have covered previously, and Virgin Fidelity pension funds, which as I've said before is the actual price of the fund. These funds, as I'm sure a lot of you are aware, they're exclusive to Virgin Atlantic, which means you can't retrieve price data, charting data, or any usable data really on any of the usual suspects like iii.com or Trustnet, because they're packaged up and bundled up under their own pricing structure and given to us at Virgin Atlantic. So I had to build my own data feed. Took an awful lot of work to automate it, and it works automated now. Very occasionally it falls over by a day, and that's usually when Fidelity delay uploading the pension fund prices. They don't upload until about 3 o'clock in the morning. However, when it does skip a day, the system normally catches up on its own automatically without any input from me. If not, then I can usually have it back up and running online within a very short period of time. Anyway, this is all pretty similar. Update data, exactly as before. I've actually saved the password in this one, which is why it hasn't prompted me for a username and password. However, at the moment, the username and password is still VAA Pilot and Test Pilot. However, the new server does allow me to issue individual username and passwords. So at some point in the future, what I plan to do is have the forum password or your forum login and password and your username and password for the app as one and the same. Problem is, at the moment, everybody's logging in under the same generic login, and I really don't know how many people are using it, other than people who come up to me in the bar in Vegas and say, yeah, I'm using your app. So, and ditto the forums. Sometimes I feel like I'm talking to myself a little bit on the forums. So at least when you've all got your own individual username and password, I'll be able to monitor exactly how many people are using the app individually and how often you're logging in, all the rest of it. Okay, so there are going to be some changes coming up here at some point in the future. I'm still thinking about how I'm going to do it, but I think there's better approaches, especially for pension funds, than just having this kind of master switch philosophy of turning off all fresh investment when equity indices go south, because pension funds have a very wide investment horizon, and sometimes certain asset classes are not affected at all by flight from risk in equities. So that's something that I'm going to be looking at in the near future. Right, looking up here, major changes here. It'll now warn you if the price data is out of date with this highlighted in red. So you can see immediately. Now, Fidelity pension funds, as I think I've explained before, they have a 24-hour price lag anyway. So you won't get the warning until it lags by 48 hours in the case of Fidelity. That's because, as I said before, they don't produce their fund prices till 3 o'clock in the morning. So, for example, on Friday you'll get Thursday's data, on Saturday you'll get Friday's data, and because it's market days, not weekdays, you won't get Monday's data until Tuesday. Okay, moving on. Investments page, or My Investments page, where you add your purchases and monitor your trades. That, once again, has not really changed. Far less bugs involved there though, and the process of entering the fund codes is better now because you don't have the gaps in the list, but no major changes there. But let's move on to the chart page, because this is where the bulk of the changes have been. So declutter chart. First of all, I've conveniently loaded up a pension fund which is available to us under the Fidelity selection, KRSO, Fidelity River and Mercantile UK smaller companies. First of all, I've got a price window up here. You can load any price on any date, and that's useful really for when you're entering your trades on the My Investment screen. So you look up the price for the date at which Fidelity moved your fund across, and then you enter that price when you're entering your trade details. The start and finish dates here for when you want to input your own date range on the chart and zoom into a particular period of time. Once again, you can do that. That hasn't changed. So you can zoom in on a certain chart area. Let's come back out to 4 years. This data on the top, once again, hasn't changed. You'll notice there's fewer errors there. Occasionally it produces things like division by zero errors, which is an Excel specific error. You should see far less of that now, if at all. Now let's put some data on this chart. So signal line, which is the algorithm itself, buy signals, sell signals, trailing stop loss. You can come out to 6 years chart data as before. I don't load more than 6 years simply because it gets a little bit slow for your apps. All right, let's come back to 4 years. Obviously volume is related to equities, not funds, and you can add an equity curve simulation on there as well. And this is purely if, as are the metrics up at the top, this is purely if you are trading the system exclusively on this one pension fund. Okay, so that is if you're following every single system signal produced on this particular fund. Let me just turn that off for a second. You can now add your own simple moving averages. You can have anything from 1 to 200 days, so let's put a couple on there. Let's put a 50-day SMA and a 200-day SMA. What I've tried to avoid doing here is recreating things like ShareScope, which and other charting packages, which are very, very good for charting data. You can add all kinds of indicators on them, Fibonacci retracements, all the rest of it, Donchian channel breakouts, you name it. They're great, but there's absolutely no point in me reproducing that on here because it would take thousands of hours and it's missing the point. Those of you who want to do that, you will already have those charting packages. However, what you haven't been able to do up to now is import the data from any of the Fidelity pension funds. So now, if you go to export price data, you can export the data for absolutely any fund or stock that's in a selection, and it will save it, in this case under krso.csv in the folder of your choosing. You can then import that straight back into ShareScope. And as far as I know, this is the only source of chartable data for Fidelity. Even their own website doesn't have it, nor do they have charts. They just have these rather well, slightly out of date fund fact sheets. Anyway, bearing in mind we have up to £40,000 a year going into the pension funds, I don't think that's very good myself, but okay, let's show you the next facility, benchmark. I thought it was useful to be able to benchmark the performance pictorially against another fund. So let's pick KTBI, which just happens to be the trustee's choice, I believe, Virgin Atlantic Global Equity Fund. You might say, well, where is it? That's because you have to refresh the chart data. So here we go, refresh chart data, and there it is. There's no metrics between the two at the moment. It's simply a visual comparison between the two. I may add some metrics to it at some point, so you can, for example, compare buy and hold versus trading the system. That may come, but at the moment you can do it pictorially anyway, because a picture paints 1,000 words. Or you can just turn it off. But you can benchmark against absolutely anything you like. You can benchmark it against stocks if you like. If you really wanted to, you can benchmark it against. Here we go. Let's have a mining stock. Don't know why you want to do that, but there you go. Or you can just turn it off completely. Okay. What else have we got? Oh yes, show trade data. There you go, and it adds labels for the buy and sell prices. Okay, I really hope that's useful. I think it's added a lot of value to it. So once again, any questions or bugs that you find, please let me know on the forum.